everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay Your Weights, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Handmaid's Tale, Season 5, Episode 6 together, y'all. We back together, not really, because we pick up from where we left off at the end of last week's episode, where June and Luke, they have both been captured, and so they have been separated. But as we get into this week's episode, or episode 6, because at this point I'm clearly a week late, but as we get into the episode, we see that June and Luke are actually together. And let me tell you something, for the sake of this review, I'm gonna split it up into 3 different sections. We got to talk about June and Luke, then we have to talk about Gilead, and then we're gonna come to Serena as we have this final meetup, this final showdown between Serena and June. So Luke is trying everything to get out of these restraints, child. I was like, baby, just please say your energy. I don't know why you're trying to do all of this. Even June was like, honey, been there, done that. Like, just give up. Just let it go. You're not gonna break free. It's just not gonna work, okay? So she tells him to chill out. Luke ain't been chilled this whole episode, okay? So June, he asked him like, hey, are they taking us to Gilead? And she was like, no, this isn't Gilead because there's too many chemicals. Like they wouldn't be in an area that had all of these chemicals because they're very much so about protecting their bodies, protecting their resources. And so, they take them to this like little, it looks like an abandoned warehouse, and they're taking their mug shots. And we see that, the guy asked June, like, what's her name? And I was like, you don't know June's name? Enemy number one? Like, you don't know who June is? And then she was like, June Osborne, beach. She didn't say that, but I'm just saying, because I was just like, how do you not know who she is? But he was like, no, what are you of? And I was like, this is something I've been asking this for a while. Why does June still have the red tag, her handmaid's tag, on her ear? Is it something that you can't just get off? Like, let me know in the comment section, like, did I forget that she said, like, maybe she wanted to remember what happened to her or have a reminder? I don't know, but let me know in the comment section below if you know why June still wears this ear tag, because I've always thought it was weird to me why she still has it. But then when he said, what are you of? And she was like, nobody, F you. And I was like, let him know, June, tell him. So they end up throwing them in 2 separate cages. And even she was like, I mean, honey, at this point, at least they gave us space, because sometimes the cages are much, much smaller than this. So Luke is being very annoying. This entire part, I'm like, these are the moments when I be like, I know June be embarrassed to say that she was with Luke, like that was her husband, that's her baby daddy. Like, I know she be embarrassed because she know if she was with Nick, she wouldn't be going through all of this. But I know it's an unfair advantage because Luke hasn't been to Gilead or been a part of all of this. But this is when I be telling y'all she be embarrassed, and the way that y'all just don't want to be woke. Y'all don't want to stand up and realize that sometimes June be low-key embarrassed by Luke. Like, he be getting on her nerves. And then just when Luke starts to annoy me, then they have a cute moment when he was like, how's your butt? And then she was like, you're asking about my butt? And then it's just like a cute back and forth. They do have really good, like good playful, sarcastic banter back and forth with one another. And then I'd be like, okay, so this is why you're with Luke. All right, he's charming. He's charming in these moments, but still, for the most part, he was getting on everybody's nerves, including June. So he had asked her, like, how many times have you been in this situation? Because clearly you just chilling, boo. So clearly you've been there, done that. And she was like, like a few. It's been a couple of times. And I'm like, June, has been more than a few, but however you want to tell him. But this one made me mad. So they come to like check them, and June just tells them like, hey, just do what they ask you to do and you'll be fine. What does Luke do? The opposite of what June told him. This fool starts making a run for it. So I said, at this point, Luke, you gotta take the ass whooping that's coming to you, because she told you what to do. She said, just keep your mouth shut, and just do what they said. That's it. And you want to make a run? Where was you finna go, Luke? Where were you about to go? Have it make sense for me, because I wasn't understanding. I wasn't comprehending where you were going. But it did get a little triggering for me. Just when, they brought him back into the cell, they dragged him into the cell, and then they started choking him, and they were like, we'll stop if you comply. And he's like, I'm complying. And then he's like, I can't breathe. That was just a lot for me, especially because Luke is a black man. And it was just a lot for me to watch that scene. But after they throw him, on the ground, she was like, you're going to be okay. Just breathe. She's trying to calm him down. And she tells him, like, I wish I would have told you more about stuff that happened. Like, and I wish that I would have never let you come. And it's this really heartfelt moment because Luke tells her, like, I didn't get to say goodbye before, so there's no way that I'm going to leave you again, because I think Luke still feels guilty that he was the one that got away, and Hannah is still in the system of Gilead and everything that June had to go through while she was in Gilead. And it's a really tender moment, and then it breaks your heart even more, because when you see they're kind of like, okay, they're going to take us back to Gilead, they're going to kill us, they're going to make an example out of us, but as long as we're together. And then of course, when they take them out to put them on the bus, they separate them, and now they're torn apart all over again. And I was just like, oh my goodness, what is about to happen? But we're going to pause there because we got to go to Gilead. Okay. I don't know why what was that gospel song? There is a bomb in Gilead. I don't know why it made me want to start singing it, but we cut to Lydia, where Lydia is running to the hospital because they are going to do a uterus harvesting on Esther. And if there's any doctors or someone, let me know what uterus harvesting is, because to me, isn't it when you take the uterus out and put it somewhere else? Like I don't know what they were going to do. Were they going to try to preserve her uterus since she was in a coma? I don't know, but that just seemed like y'all was doing a lot. It was doing a lot right there. But Lydia is told that, hey, the reason why we're not doing the harvesting is because she's actually 3 weeks pregnant. And so this sends off alarm bells for Lydia, because riddle me this, she didn't get placed in nobody's house yet. Remember, 3 weeks ago, it was the funeral for Commander Waterford, and she was introducing Esther to Commander Putnam and Mrs. Putnam in hopes that she could actually place them there. But no ceremony had taken place. So we now know why Esther was already on a more elevated level of being on edge than she normally is after being left alone with Commander Putnam, because he sexually assaulted her. And so we see that she goes to talk to Esther, and Lydia is just she is suffering from being delusional, okay? And the fact that she had the audacity to fix her little raggedy ass lips and ask Esther, did you do anything to make him come on to you? I said, bitch, I know you effing lying. Are you being serious? Have you looked at Commander Putnam? He looks like a little rat, a little gerbil. Ain't nobody trying to touch that man, and damn sure ain't nobody trying to seduce him, probably besides Janine. But ain't nobody trying to seduce him to do anything. Do not touch me. So I feel like she was highly disrespectful for even coming at Esther like that. But this is part of the delusion that in Lydia's mind, she doesn't believe that a commander would really stoop so low to do something like that. So of course, her first idea is to blame the woman when it's really that little raggedy rat who is to blame. And so she tells her, no, he assaulted me. And then she was like, I'm sorry. And I said, no, you're not. And then even Esther was like, you're not sorry. And this kind of is going to the story arc of what we've seen on Lydia really having to reconcile with the pain, the trauma that she's inflicted upon these women in the name of the Lord, in the name of Gilead. And it's really interesting because you're starting to see that she's starting to become very affected by this. And I will have to give kudos to McKenna Grace in this episode, because I've never seen this girl miss. She slays every single thing that she does in this entire scene where she's like, don't touch me. When Lydia tries to touch her, we see her body in these restraints. To think that you've been assaulted to the point where you can't take it anymore. You tried to take your own life, and then these people have you restrained. And no one really believes you of what happened. It's just interesting to see how that scene plays out. McKenna Grace, she just killed every single moment of it. And that's the one to watch. When they talk about young stars to watch, that's the person that you better watch, okay? She might be our next Meryl Streep. Y'all keep playing. Y'all better stay woke. But we see that Lydia goes to speak to Commander Lawrence, and they have an interesting conversation because Lydia's like, bitch, what you finna do? I told you what happened, what you finna do. And he said, hold on, girl, hold on a minute. Because right now, I think you talking out the side of your neck, and I think that you forgot your place and know who you talking to, ho. He didn't call her ho, but I'm just saying, he was like, know who you talking to. So I love Commander Lawrence because, when it comes to June, I guess he's on the good side. He's on the good side, but at the end of the day, he still ain't ish because he came up with all of this. And, I think that he's an even more frightening character because you never know what side he's actually on. And I think that's what makes him a little bit more terrifying to me, to even see how he reacts to Lydia when he tries to brush it to the side. The ceremony was just in a couple of days. What's the problem? And she's like, what's the problem? We have stuff set in place for a reason. So he basically told her, get up out of my office. And then she looked at him like, you raggedy trifling dude. And so we see later in the episode, Commander Lawrence, Commander Blaine, and Commander Putnam, they're having a conversation, and basically it's crazy to see Warren basically gloat about sexually assaulting this young girl, about how, you know, he's basically having more kids in order to raise his like political ranks. And it's just crazy to me how he's bragging, going back and forth, and you kind of see Nick roll his eyes during this entire conversation, because at the end of the day, Nick actually believed in Gilead. He was one of the people who helped them take over, and to see these men abuse their power, and the fact that he's had to work so hard to get this power, he takes it seriously. I think that is very frustrating to him. But I think also too is a nice contrast to see how because of what happened to Esther, you see, it helps you understand even more why it's so imperative that June and Luke find Hannah. So you see how the system has failed Esther. She was a young woman married to this old man, expected to have children, born into the system that she didn't, brought into the system that she didn't believe in. And that's why it's so imperative for them to save Hannah, because you're kind of getting this forewarning, this foreshadowing of what might be to come for someone like Hannah. So we see that we cut to the Putnams having breakfast, and then, you know, Mrs. Putnam's like, why is everybody looking at us? Like, am I tripping? Everybody like giving us looks. And he was like, they probably heard the news. And then she was like, oh, what did you do? Because I know whatever it is, it ain't good, because I know you trash. So before he can even tell her, the Guardians came and hemmed him up, pulled him away from the table, dropped him on his knees in front of Commander Blaine and Commander Lawrence. And they basically said, you committed sins of the flesh, whatever it was called, apostasy, which is sins of the flesh. And then basically Nick pulled out the gun and was like, boom, murked him right there in front of Mrs. Putnam. I was like, y'all couldn't tell her to turn her head real quick, but she knew her husband was trifling too. But I was just like, is it me, or when Nick pulled the gun, that he became even more attracted to me? Like, I love a man that's gonna take charge. But then I was like, girl, like, you can't be excited about somebody committed murder. But it was like Commander Putnam, let's be honest, he had it coming for quite some time. He had it coming. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it, but he had it coming for quite some time. So like, I don't condone murder, let me just say that, but this is a TV show, and since we in a TV show, I'm not gonna lie, Nick's stock rose up a couple of steps, couple of levels for me after he just, you know, you see the blood on his face, he like barely flinched. I was just like, I love a man that can take charge like that, because it needed to be done. So he goes home and he has a conversation. We see Roses on the couch, she's crying. I said, girl, what you crying for? I would have pounced on him as soon as he got into that door. But she's crying because she was like, I just worry about these things that they have you do, like the type of person that is going to make you become, right? And it's interesting because I did not know Rose was pregnant. Because when Nick said, I'm doing what it, you know, I'm trying to protect our child, I said, hold on, child? Did I forget that they were pregnant? Like, I know he wanted to be the one to tell June that he got married, but I don't remember them saying anything about having a kid on the way. So was that new information for me? Because my jaw was on the ground. I was just very confused. But, you know, Rose kind of threw some shade. She's like, are you sure that's who you did it for? Like, Beach, I know you did it for June, which, I mean, he can't just do it for both. But we see that Aunt Lydia takes the Handmaids to see Commander Putnam's body hanging, and then she's talking about this is justice. I said, bitch, this is far from justice. Like, are you being serious right now? Justice was to burn the entire place of Gilead down and just let these women go free. But this is not justice, honey. But when Janine was like, I wish I could have been there, I said, now girl, aren't you supposed to be recovering? Like, let's stop doing all of this. That's still the father of your kids. I know, don't act like Janine wasn't whipped over Commander Putnam, okay? So that is Gilead. Let's get into Serena Raggedy Behind. So Dr. Landers comes into the house to do the ultrasound, and Serena looking like, hold on, what you doing here? And he was like, you got an ultrasound appointment. She was like, but I thought I was coming out there. He was like, girl, you thought they was gonna let you leave this house? Stop it. He didn't say that, but I'm just saying, it's becoming abundantly clear that Serena is the Wheeler's prisoner at this point. So then he go upstairs, they done built a whole damn exam room for her. This girl ain't never gonna leave this house. And I think at that point when she saw the birthing room, she was just like, oh, like, I'm a prisoner. Like for real. Like, they thought of everything to make sure that I would still be here. Now, this is the part that just weirded me out. Okay, so he tells her, like, you know, he has to get up here. He kind of turns his back. I said, you can't leave the room. Like, you can't give her space. Just something. What you gonna do? Jump out the window? Like, what we doing? So after he gets done checking her out, he tells her, like, we need you to rest. We need you to be off your feet. You know, take your vitamins and stuff. But then he basically says, like, can I take you out? And I said, you just looked at my cooch and you finna ask me out? Sir, what? Huh? How that make sense? Like, ain't this some type of doctor-patient violation, something? Like, it's just not adding up for me why he thought that this would be okay. But why does he have a Martha? Like, are they trying to establish, like, Gilead in Canada now? Because he's talking about having a Martha, like, I'm a good cook. I have a Martha that they can cook too. And Serena was just like, nah, like, you my OBGYN. But that's an interesting thing to think about. So she goes and has a conversation with Mrs. Wheeler, and you know, she was like, "Bitch, I'm a widow. Like, my husband died. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are y'all trying to set me up?" And she was like, "Who said I wanted to get married again?" And so they were like, "Well, you can't be a single mom. Like, what do you mean? You can't raise this baby by yourself." So she was like, "You know what, honey?" She's like, "This ain't Gilead, right?" And I was like, "Bitch, I think they trying to make it to be a Gilead." So she said she wanted to go take a walk. And then basically Alanis was like, "Girl, you a prisoner. You can't go take no walk." She didn't say that, but she said, "You need to go to your room now." And I was like, you know what, Serena? She go upstairs and she start crying. And I was like, "Girl, what you crying for?" Because what Mrs. Wheeler is doing to you ain't even an ounce of the devil that you were in Gilead. I was like, oh, somebody can dish you, but they can't take it, Serena. You can't take it, honey. You crying with her just telling you to go upstairs that you couldn't take a walk. You was up here backhanded slapping June. You slapped, baby, I forgot her name, but they Martha. You know who I'm talking about. I was just like, wow, like, you did all of this and you. So she ends up having a conversation with Mr. Wheeler, and he tells her, like, you know, I have June and Luke, and basically she convinces him. She says, I want to be there. I was like, watch this hoe try to, like, break free. This is okay, I'm sorry. So she convinces him to go, and talking about, you know, what did she say? Because it pissed me off, whatever she said. So she's talking about June is taking more away from her. You know, and I was like, so June is taking more away from you than you taking away from June? Are you sure about that? Because I don't think the math is mathing on who took more away from who. You didn't even like Fred. So I don't even understand why you trying to sit up here and do this whole morning wife. You didn't even like him. You was trying to get this man murdered. So I don't even understand. So when June comes out of the bus, they drop her off. And then she sees Serena. She like, you hoe. You did all of this? You planned all of this? So she pulled out the gun. And she was just like, okay, girl, do what you gotta do. I'm surprised that June did start begging her. She's like, you don't have to do this. Like, she's trying to talk her out of it. So the part that took me out is when Serena was like, remember when you told me that you hope my baby dies in my stomach? And she was like, yeah, I remember. It was the best day of my effing life. And I was like, wow, June, you doing all of this when somebody got a gun pulled to your head? So, you know, Serena said she wanted to be the one to shoot her. And this is when June starts kind of begging her, but she's like very calm about it, okay? Like, you know, if this time it gets taken out, it is what it is. Like, I killed your husband. Like, I guess, child. So Serena tells her, start praying. And so June prays that her daughter lives a life of peace, that their kids live a life of peace, and that they can do better than what they have become. And then Serena says, amen. And then she shoots Ezra. It's like, ooh, but she like, you see that he had a vest on, so there ain't nothing really happened to him. So I figured she was gonna make a run for it at this point. So she pulls the gun on June, tells June to get in the car. June gets in the car, she drives out, but it looked like Serena's finna go into labor. So I was just like, honey, this was a lot happening for you to be so close to like giving birth. It was just a lot. And it's very intense. I don't know what the hell is gonna happen, but we're gonna be in for a hell of a ride. So it's nice that we finally see the two come into straight contact with one another. And now that they're both going to be on the run together, I don't know what's gonna happen. Serena like got a whole baby in active labor. I don't know what's gonna happen. Is June gonna help her? Is she not gonna help her? Is June gonna kill Serena? Is it gonna be her chance to go ahead and kill Serena? I don't know. Probably not, because they already renewed it for another season. But including, we knew June wasn't gonna die because they got renewed for a whole other season. And I don't know how you're gonna do the Handmaid's Tale without the main handmaid you introduced us to. But I like this episode, y'all. I was here for this. I can't wait to watch next week, which is literally like tomorrow. So I'm going to watch it right now and get this video for you guys. But just to let you know, I will be out of the country for 2 weeks. But you're going to get your reviews. I'll make sure I have these reviews posted at midnight or 1 a.m. when the episode is done airing. So for 2 weeks, you guys y'all living a good life. You're going to get stuff right away. But I really love this episode. MVP of the episode, McKenna Grace. She's just a fantastic young actress. I absolutely adore her. But I really like this. I can't wait to see the interactions between Serena and June now that she's going to be in labor. And I know June, like, she talk a big talk, but she still got a little bit of heart left in her. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I am excited to see what the fallout is going to be now that Commander Putnam is gone, and how that's going to allow Commander Lawrence and Commander Blaine to move up into the ranks again a little bit higher. So let me know in the comment section below, what did you think of this episode? Handmaid's Tale season 5 episode 6 together. As always, my name is Sharana from Pair Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.